Thank you so much, Vivian, for the very informative session on how to best make use of AD Manager Plus. I really hope this session was informative to all of you. Before I get started with my session, once again, a very, very quick audio and video check. So if my voice is loud and clear, and if you have no trouble viewing the screen, please drop in a yes message in the chat box provided. I'm going to wait for a couple of confirmations from all of you before I get started. All right, thank you so much. Looks like I'm good. If you do have any questions pertaining to the previous session, please keep them coming in the questions tab. Vivian is going to stick with us for the next 20 to 30 minutes to try and answer all your questions in the back end, while I'm going to walk you through how to make use of modern multi-factor authentication to protect your systems, applications, and data. Before I do that, a very quick introduction. Hi, I'm Sharada Murthy from the marketing team of ManageEngine. I hope you're all doing great today. I am a product expert in ManageEngine AD Self-Service Plus, and the next 20-25 minutes is going to be a very brief walkthrough of the capabilities of AD Self-Service Plus and how you can make the best use of this solution. Once again, I have Karthik and Vivian in the backend, so if you do have any questions, please keep them coming. I would also love to take time to answer your questions during the session itself. And I saw a couple of messages about the recording. So this session is being recorded, and I'm giving that heads up right now because I have connected remotely from the comfort of my home. So if there are any discrepancies in my audio or video, please keep us notified immediately. And if you are facing issues with connection as well, please don't worry. Like I mentioned earlier, the session is being recorded, so you can reach out to us anytime and we'd be more than happy to pass on the recording of the day. So with that said, and no further ado, I'm going to quickly jump into today's session. All right. This is the slide that I'm most excited to talk about for the day, which is what does COVID-19 bring along, all right? And these are few screenshots that I picked up from the news online. And believe me when I say this, this is as recent as the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not talking about news. I'm not talking about cybersecurity attacks that we have been prone to all this while. These are cybersecurity attacks that have surged over the last couple of weeks, or I would say over the past 1 month. And yes, we are talking about a whooping 37% increase in cyber attacks. I'm talking about, hacking being something that's happening every single day that has increased magnificently in the last couple of days, pardon me there. And we are seeing about a whooping 600% increase in phishing attacks. In fact, I have a screenshot of WHO for a phishing mail. And as you can see, there are quite a few errors listed right here, if you can notice. And this would typically not be the method, or this would typically not be the screenshot that you would see if you genuinely got a mail from World Health Organization. So there have been phishing mails sent out of WHO, which is the leading organization to pass on information, authentic information on COVID-19, and even that is being exploited. And this is a huge concern, especially at this point of time, at least from my perspective. And that is because every single user in your organization is working remotely, or I would like to believe is working remotely. Almost 90 to 95% of the workforce are working remotely, especially in the IT sector. And which also means that every single day, people are connecting from their home networks, from different networks available, which also happen to be public networks, making it easier when it comes to a compromise. So today's session is going to be focused around how you can improve the password management or the password security situation in your organization, but at the same time, also not take the burden on yourself as IT administrators or help desk technicians by doing it all. So I'm here to talk about or emphasize the importance of password self-service, but at the same time, walk you through how you can do it securely, because it's very, very important, all right? Handing over or workload distribution, especially at this point of time, especially when people are connecting from different parts of the country, different parts of the city, is as important as also equipping them to do it securely. So today's session is going to be a little about IT best practices around remote working, but at the same time more towards password security revolving around applications and authenticators. All right, so let's start with securing logons with two-factor authentication. Your laptop is something that every single user in your organization is going to log in and access every single day. The better part here is Windows acts as an authentication source for a lot of other applications, certain single sign-on enabled applications, certain, I would say, servers as well, mail accounts, and this is one gateway to a lot of information, to the system itself, to a lot of data, and it could be privileged information. So let's start from right here. Let's start at securing logons, be it your Windows, Mac, or Linux systems, with not just the native authentication, but also making use of an additional layer. So what I've done is I've made use of AD Self-Service Plus, pre-configured certain administrative privileges, provision self-service for users in my organization. But what I'm going to do now is walk you through how this works from the end user perspective, while also giving you tips and tricks on what you need to do as an administrator for users in your organization. Why this is going to work is because you see how the application works or functions for an end user, but at the same time, you get a perspective of all you need to do in the backend. So I've taken a remote desktop connection to a server that's available at office, and I'm working remotely. So I'm reiterating that yet again. What I'm going to do now is, once again, take a connection. I've logged in as an administrator. So what I'm going to do now is, once again, take a connection to a user's account, all right? And I'm logging in as Sharada. So what typically happens is that I would have a seamless access because I have already authenticated my identity with my Windows Active Directory password. But in this case, I need to go through an additional method of authentication. And I've picked the security questions, answering the questions given right here. Post which I have access to Sharda's account, my account. This is great because not only do I have to rely on the native Windows authentication, I can make use of other authenticators as an additional layer of security to protect my system, point one, and all the data that it holds. And this comes in handy for remote users as well, because imagine a user has to authenticate their identity not once, but twice every single time they log in. It might be cumbersome, but let me tell you this, they will get used to it. And I would highly recommend you having a secondary factor of authentication, not just for your native Windows Active Directory, not just for the machines that they log into, but also for every single application, especially at this point of time. Because once again, going back to the 600% increase in phishing attacks, we are talking about close to 37% increase in cybersecurity attacks. And this is just over the past 1 month. This is report for the month of March, all right, March 2020. And what I would highly recommend you to do is to have a secondary factor of authentication that involves the user itself. It could be a fingerprint, it could be a password that is sent to their email or via SMS. It could also be, other factors of authentication like an app-based authentication. And I mean it when I say this, just in the last, I would say 3 to 4 weeks, I personally have got about 13 to 14 password resets happening for my social media accounts. I, in fact, got logged out of my Google account recently because somebody was trying to log into from the United States. And I am very well put in India. I work out of Chennai. And these reiterate the security concerns, the cybersecurity attacks that we are prone to, especially at this point of time, especially in a situation where we have to work with important business data every single day as end users. And so I would highly urge you to enforce a secondary factor of authentication for all users in your organization. Once again, not just for their machines, but multiple applications, their mail accounts, Wherever feasible, please have another layer of authentication because 2 is always better than 1. Talking about securing password self-service, like I said, when I try to log in to access my machine today and I realize that my password is expired, not only do I panic because I probably do not remember my password right after I see the message, I also need to be in a position to reset my old password or change my password well in advance. And this is all that we're talking about when I talk about password self-service. The same holds good with forgotten passwords as well. When I do continuous attempts to log into my account with a bad password, let's say after 3 or 5 attempts, I get logged out based on your security setting for users in your organization. I would want to have the benefit of having to self-service or provision my account by unlocking my account myself instead of having to call my help desk or having to call the system administrator in my organization to simply gain access to my own machine. And this is the advantage of password self-service that you can provide with AD Self-Service Plus. But what I'm going to talk about more today is how you can do this securely, all right? Jumping back to the administrative console, I'm going to log back into the administrative account to talk to you about different authenticators that we support from AD Self-Service Plus. Once again, reiterating what Vivian had mentioned, AD Self-Service Plus is an integrated password self-service and single sign-on solution which works independently, but it's also a module which is under the AD 360 suite. So I'm talking about one module under AD 360, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can not only provision password self-service for users in your organization, but also do it securely. So I have configured my domain, pretty self-explanatory. I have created self-service policies right here on my screen where I give permission to certain self-service actions specific to OUs or groups present in my Active Directory. I have basically given self-service permission to one particular organizational unit, and once again, different self-service permission based on different organizational role that somebody is playing. Once again, completely customizable. You can work with the precedents. You can decide what permissions that you would like to give for different users belonging to different OUs, different groups. You can also work with advanced settings to notify users about their password self-service, their impending password self-service, automate certain tasks. So I will leave that to you to explore. You can also go about and make changes at any time. So this is all you need to do to provision password self-service for users in your organization. But more importantly, what I want to focus on for today is to do it securely. And nearly 81% of cybersecurity attacks that happen across the world, this is not relevant to COVID, this is a general start from 2018. Nearly 81% of attacks that happen across the world are because of or revolve around user identities. It could be a weak password, it could be stolen credentials, it could be trying to misuse a user's identity. And when I say 81% of attacks that happen across the world, I also want to talk to you about another number, which is alarming. Nearly 90% of attacks that happen, which revolve around passwords, happen by simply trying to mimic a password reset operation, all right? If I want to try to gain access to somebody's system in your organization or try to break into the network, one of the easiest ways that I can do is to mimic a password reset process. It could be for the Active Directory itself. It could be for mail accounts. It could be for any other accounts that are in synchronization or well within the network, all right? So what I want to talk to you here is about not relying on just simple authenticators like security question answer, because we are talking about our Active Directory being compromised in this case. So I would highly recommend you to give an option of more than 2 or 3 authenticators for users to pick from. As you can see, I have about 5 authenticators pre-configured for one policy. And once again, when I talk about multi-factor authentication for password resets or account unlock operations, I have not only enabled 2 authenticators, I've also mandated the security question. So any user who goes through a password reset operation has to definitely answer their security questions and at the same time pick one of the 4 authenticators listed right here. all right? And once again, quickly reiterating what I did previously. So if you remember, to enable two-factor authentication for endpoints, which is Windows, Mac, or Linux systems for all users across your organization, all you need to do is check these boxes and pick authenticators that you would like to enable. Believe me when I say this, it is as simple as checking two boxes and picking the authenticators that you'd like to enforce for these users. And at the same time, like I said, have two-factor authentication for applications as well. We give this provision for AD Self-Service Plus login, which will give users access to self-updating personal information in their Active Directory, changing their passwords for not just their AD accounts, but multiple other on-premises accounts as well, and a lot more privileges. So we have enabled two-factor authentication for the native AD Self-Service Plus login as well. You can once again pick which authenticator that you'd like users to work with, pick multiple authenticators and give them the choice to pick the authenticator that they are comfortable working with. All right, so my settings is saved. What I'm going to do now is jump to my Gina CP console to show you that not only will I be able to seamlessly change my password, which is something that the native tool provides, I will also be able to reset my password if I do not remember my old password anymore. Let me quickly walk you through this from an end user's perspective. So let's pretend I do not remember my old password, all right? And my password is expired. In this case, I will have to reset my password. So I'm going to click on reset my password. And this is from an end user's perspective. So what will happen is I'm asked for my AD credentials, which is my Windows username, the domain that I'm working with. I'm going to quickly key in the captcha. I'm guessing that's a B and a 6. I always go wrong with my captcha, so thankfully not this time. I'm going to answer my security question. And if you remember, I had mandated the security question method of authentication for reset password. And once I've proven my identity by answering the right questions, I can pick from one of these authenticators. The good news is I have my authenticators pre-configured as well. So I'm going to go with the Microsoft Authenticator, which is an app-based authentication. And click on continue. I have the code in my mobile device with me. I've not screened my device because it's a personal device, but I'm going to quickly give in the code and click on continue to show you that after I enter my username, after I verify my identity with a security question answer, as well as the Microsoft app-based authentication, I will be able to provision my own passwords, reset my own passwords. Once again, not just for my native Windows Active Directory, but also for my Office 365 account, my hybrid identity, right here from one single console. I can choose to have one password for both accounts. I can also change my password only for my Active Directory account. So this is completely up to the user. You can give users the option to reset passwords for not just their native Active Directory, but any password synchronization enabled applications password can also be reset from this particular console. So once again, a very obvious question that I get usually when I talk about password synchronization is, Sharada, how do you recommend having one password across multiple accounts? Isn't that a security threat in itself? All right, let me show you this. All right, I'm going to perform a password reset for my Active Directory account. I've given in a password. I have met almost all the conditions listed right here. I'm going to click on reset password. And it says that the password failed to meet the policy requirements because it does not have two special characters, but I think I can fix that. But what more it says is that it contains restricted patterns, all right, which means my password has QWERTY, ASDF, 1234, or the word password itself. It also has dictionary word password. So the good news here is AD Self-Service Plus will not only provision users to take care of their own password resets, it will stop users from having weak passwords by defending the first layer, that is passwords in itself. I'm going to redo this on another console to show you the magic. All right. Once again, I've skipped the reset password operation. I'm going to attempt to reset my password right here from the Gina CP console. Let me quickly change this to my name. I'm going to enter my full password, which I obviously remember. Okay. And you can see that I have met almost all the complexity rules listed on the screen. I've also met the special character condition. Let's see what happens. I have a message that says, my password is being rejected because it has both the common word and the dictionary word password, which means no more passwords at 123 hash, no more admin at 123, test at 123, username at 123. Because with a solution like AD Self-Service Plus, not only do we provide multiple authenticators for you to seamlessly reset passwords, unlock accounts, securely log into your applications, securely log into your Windows machine, Linux or Mac systems, but we also enforce a custom granular password policy that you as an administrator can pick, customize, and also enforce across the Gina CP screen, the ADUC console, displayed across reset password and change password pages. And one major advantage that I see is that this password policy that you enforce for users in your organization is also enforced for any password synchronization enabled applications. Pardon me there. I'm going to quickly fine tune this to password sync apps. We support about 18 on-premises and cloud-based applications right there, which means if password synchronization is enabled for my Azure, then I can have one strong smart password to log in and access both Office 365 as well as my Windows Active Directory as an end user. This holds good across multiple domains in a forest level. This holds good across multiple other business applications, ServiceNow, Salesforce, Zendesk, the Oracle database as well. So I will leave the configuration of these applications to you for you to explore. But talking a little about single sign-on as well, we also provide a one-click seamless access to multiple applications. All you need to do is pick an application that is available in the list. We have close to about 100 pre-configured cloud-based applications. Pick the module that you're working with, go through the configuration steps listed right here for each and every application. Also restrict access selective to applications based on the self-service policies that you created, which means you can give access to Zendesk to your help desk. You can give access to Salesforce to your sales team. You can give access to, let's say, G Suite to all users across your organization. So you can selectively give access based on OUs and groups, depending on user roles, by the self-service policies that you create right here on this screen. All right. And one question that I received during Vivian's session that I happened to see and I couldn't wait to talk to you about was soon to expire password or account notification. Before I talk about how to set up the scheduler, let me quickly jump to the reports tab to tell you when you provision AD Self-Service Plus for users in your organization, you do not only give them the access to take care of their own password management. You don't only hand over the torch of self-service to them. You can also keep a check on every single insight that is happening in your native Windows password management right here with the reports tab. So be it user reports, which says soon to expire password reset reports, or reports of users whose passwords have already expired, you can customize this, get out a list of users whose passwords are going to expire, notify them. You can notify password expired users as well. You can notify basically anybody who is going through a password management trouble. As an administrator, you can keep managers notified as well. So I'm going to quickly walk you through the scheduler that I have pre-configured. Quickly clicking the edit option right here. So this is a soon to expire password, which is going for all users within the organization. My favorite part about this module is that not only users who you have license for will be able to benefit from this. You can send out a password expiry or an account expiry notification to all users irrespective of your AD Self-Service Plus licensing, which means notify every single user in your organization on a periodic basis, daily, weekly, on specific days with targeted messages via email, SMS, or a push notification that is sent to the AD Self-Service Plus mobile app. I'm going to quickly jump to the advanced setting to show you that you can also notify password expired users. You can send out the notification delivery status to the user's manager to keep the manager also notified, as well as notify the admin about the probable password management troubles that they might have to face if a user's password is expired or if a user's account is expired. This could also come in handy. Now that I'm talking about notifications, you can also notify users about their password self-service actions. Let me quickly jump to the policy configuration tab right there. I'm going to quickly click on advanced settings, and you can notify users via email, SMS, or push notification once again for any of the set actions. So if somebody is trying to perform a reset password operation, you can also keep administrators notified. Users are notified, administrators are notified, so you know that the right person is going through the right operation. The last part or the last module that I want to talk to you about is after logging in as a user. So all that we saw right now was logged into the administrative consoles. We saw the end user actions in terms of two-factor authentication, in terms of password resets right from the Gina CP screen. We also saw how the password policy is enforced right on the Gina CP. I'm going to log in as a user right now. To access my self-service portal, once again, I need to prove my identity before I can get access, because this portal will give me an opportunity to perform real-time password self-service updates. Let's say I update my telephone number, the changes happen real time. I will be able to change passwords once again, not just for my Active Directory account, but for all password synchronization enabled accounts. And I will also have a one-click seamless access to single sign-on enabled applications right here. I have single sign-on enabled for Office 365 and G Suite. If mail group subscription permission is given for the user, they'll be able to do that as well. If an approval workflow is enabled, then they will be able to create requests as well. But I'm going to talk a little bit about enrollment before I wrap up today's session. All right. Enrollment is basically the tab in which a user has to sign up with the listed authenticators. So when you as an administrator provide access to authenticators, this is where the user has to sign up with these authenticators to verify their identity for the very first time. And as you can see, I have already done it for my security questions, email verification, Google and Microsoft app-based authentication, whereas I haven't set it up for my AD Self-Service Plus fingerprint-based authentication. But the good news is there are stepwise instructions to guide the user to do this, because without enrolling to AD Self-Service Plus or without enrolling or signing up with these authenticators, the users will not be able to make use of these authenticators listed right here to verify their identity. And if they cannot verify their identity, they will not be able to perform any self-service actions. So with that said, I have almost covered all that I had to talk about in today's session. Once again, reiterating what I just mentioned, a very, very quick overview. Please have a secondary factor of authentication, not just for your logons, but also for all the applications that you use. Certain tips and tricks that I would like to pass on to you is to have not just one, but more than one authenticator for password self-service operations. And this is not just for your Active Directory. If you provision password self-service for users for other applications as well, I would highly recommend you to have more than one factor of authentication. Once again, have a better password policy in place. The native Windows Active Directory password policy is not good enough. It's nearly 2 decades old and it's easily prone to compromise. It still allows weak passwords like password at 123, admin at 123, and we do not want that, especially at this point of time. And the reason I'm reiterating this is because administrative accounts or privileged accounts are not easy targets because of the security, layers of security that is inbuilt with these accounts, all right? Easy targets are end user accounts, and nearly 90% of accounts that are targeted go around weak passwords, stolen credentials, or misused user credentials. And we can avoid that by having additional layers of authentication, by having strong passwords in place. I would also highly recommend to minimize the idle time that you can set for users in your organization. Please have a minimum idle time for mail accounts, minimum idle time for your machines as well, your systems that you work with every single day, because this will ensure that the user has to log back in every time they need access to their machine, all right, or the application. I would highly recommend a lockout time to be set at a minimum. So we also know that accounts are not easily compromised. Talk to your users about password concerns, talk to them about cybersecurity concerns, keep a constant tab on all the reports that revolve around not just password security, but the general security of your organization, and restrict or permit access based on applications, based on authenticators. For privileged accounts, you can always add more authenticators, or once again, privileged accounts, you can have more stronger password policy enforced. And with that said, I have almost come to the end of today's session. I really hope the session was informative. I really hope you could take back something from what you learned from my session as well as Ruben's session and apply to users in your organization. I have great news for you. So I would kindly request you to stick with me for the next couple of minutes. But before we talk more about the surprise that I have for you today, I want to understand your needs. I want to understand what works for you, what you're looking for, and how we can help you with it. So if I can ask my dear friend Karthi to quickly drop in the poll, please take a couple of seconds to answer the poll that will be listed on your screen right now. So if you're looking at any of these solutions at this moment from our solution suite that are part of today's session, you can let us know. If it's a solution that's not part of this virtual seminar, you can click the option add another and give in your answer. And if you require a product specialist to help you with the evaluation, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to give you a one-on-one demonstration of the solution that you're looking forward to. All right. I'm going to quickly wrap up this poll. Thank you so much, Karthi. And if you do have questions, please keep them coming, because we're going to stick here for the next 15-20 minutes to try and answer all the pending questions. We also have the session feedback on your screen. Please take a couple of seconds to answer the session feedback. And while you do that, I'm going to quickly switch screens to show you or talk to you about the surprise that we have for you today. All right. So we are talking about two solution suites from Manage Engine today, or in today's session or this series. And today was about two modules from AD360. So we would be more than happy to help you with a remote transition with our AD360 suite of solution. And during this difficult time, we would be more than happy to help you with coping up with the difficulties around managing remotely. So we are giving out a 60-day license for AD360. And if you would like to avail this opportunity, please reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to share the license for you to help you seamlessly work with it. This is not just for AD360. we are also giving out a license for Law 360 at no cost until the 30th of June, a fully functional license to help organizations across the world cope with COVID. So if you'd like to receive a license for either AD 360 or Law 360, you can reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to help you. All right, I think we've gathered the session feedback as well as the requirements in terms of applications. If you do have any more questions, please keep them coming. If you want to reach out to me sometime later regarding any material for AD 360, you can reach out to me at sharda@managengine.com. With that said, I'm going to quickly wrap up today's session and take time to answer questions offline. So if you do have them, please keep them coming. Vivian is also with us to answer your questions. On that happy note, this is Sharda Murthy signing off for the day. I really hope and wish for all of you to have good health and happiness in this difficult time. I really hope you're safe and indoors, and I wish you the best of health and great time working at home, working remotely, quality time, especially at these difficult periods. So yes, please stay safe, please stay indoors, please take care of yourself and everybody around you. And looking forward to seeing you in tomorrow's session where my dear friends Harish and Siddharth will be talking more about the IT security suite of solutions, which is AD Audit Plus and Law 360. So looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, stay strong. Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. Thank you so much for joining us in today's session. Have a wonderful day ahead.